All right. What's going on, everybody, man? Welcome back to The Truth with Najeh Wilkins, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Jam pack, college football show, man. So y'all know what to do, man. We on X, we on Twitch with it, we on YouTube, man. Make sure y'all boys like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, man. Twitch, man. Make sure y'all like it up, throw in the comments in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously on X, man, make sure you like and you retweet, man. All right. All right, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Roundaway Sports, my guy. Appreciate you tuning in, my brother. Much love to you. Definitely appreciate you watching the show and obviously tapping in with me. All right, man. So let's go ahead and talk about it, man. We got a lot to discuss today in the college football realm, man. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. We ain't gonna waste no time, right? And we're gonna go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. And right now, the situation with Joey Aguilar, right? That is currently our thumbnail. Okay. So basically today we got more news that, obviously he was granted. I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can out there, y'all can see. Check me out. Hold on one second. Okay. Boom. So here is the Joey Aguilar situation. As we can see, he's suing the NCAA and Knox County Court for a sixth season of eligibility. He was also granted per on 3 a TRO, a temporary restraining order to extend his eligibility. But the NCAA, they are not backing down from this at all. Okay. They are standing firm. And it's good to see because we've been waiting on this for the NCAA. Right? When are you guys going to actually step in and say enough is enough? And you know what I'm saying, that's what we want to see. You know what I'm saying? So we are glad to see this from the NCAA. It's about damn time. If we're being humbly honest. Okay. So this is what NCAA had to say. This is per CFB Kings. He has a little bit of knowledge per Ross Dellinger. He said excellent phrasing and terminology here. NCAA is actually doing something, at least for the first time, being to defend college sports for once. All right. So let's break down what the statement was. This outcome, after the plaintiff withdrew from a federal lawsuit and separately filed a lawsuit in state court with the exact same facts, illustrates the impossible situation created by deferring court decisions that serve to undermine rules agreed to by the same NCAA members who later challenged them in court. We will continue to defend NCAA's eligibility rules against repeated attempts to rob high school students of the opportunity to compete in college and experience the life-changing opportunities only college sports can create. The NCAA and its member schools are making changes to deliver more benefits to student athletes, but the patchwork of state laws and inconsistent conflicting court decisions make partnering with Congress essential to provide stability for all college athletes, right? And obviously, Rochelle says this is the statement from the NCAA. And the big piece here is what they said in the middle. We will continue to defend NCAA eligibility rules against repeated attempts to rob high school students of the opportunity to compete in college. And you know what? I'm with it. Now, the only issue is it is a bit hypocritical for the NCAA, right? Because you let Carson Beck play another season, right? You've letting guys like TJ Finley, who's been 8 years in college, right? No disrespect. I'm glad he's on my Miami team, but Mohamed Toure is playing his eighth season, so it does feel hypocritical. But as NCAA outlined here, obviously it's conflicting court decisions and obviously different state laws is what's coming into play here, right? But if you're the NCAA, you're gonna have to find some middle ground. And obviously, it looks like they're trying to go to Congress in order to kind of help with some of these decisions for athletes. I think it's pretty simple, right? Obviously, like you get the red shirt year, you get one extra year after that. That is it. When it comes to eligibility, you should not be able to play no more high school football. College football as an athlete. To me, after that sixth season, I guess you could say, or fifth season. You know what I'm saying? I think that should be it, right? Count the red shirt. You know what I'm saying? That's a rated extra season. You get one more after that if you're pursuing the master's degree. Leave it alone at that point. Okay? I think that is what should happen here. You know what I'm saying? Counting against, community college, you were still in college. You know what I'm saying? So some got to count here, right? You also got medical red shirt too that they give the athletes. Some has to count here because to the point, you are stripping away high school athletes, right? And that's why we see a little bit of the muster taken away from a signing day, which was today, right? We see the muster kind of taken away. Obviously the big one is in December. These athletes are having to find homes, and more than likely they're not going to, a lot of power fours unless you're rated for the most part, right? You might see a couple stories here or there, but a lot of these kids are having to go to other schools, D2, D1, NAIA, wherever they can find an opportunity, that's where they have to go, right? So I understand it, and obviously NCAA is standing on business. I get it. I'm for it. Now, what does that all mean for Tennessee? right? Because that is the matter at hand. Now, we look at Tennessee's quarterback room, right? They have an extra spot available for Joey Aguilar, right? So the temporary restraining order was a good sign, of him possibly playing in 2026. But with the NCAA doubling down, there's throwing some doubt, obviously, in there. This is still a very ongoing story. We'll see what obviously happens there as he is suing, obviously, the NCAA, right? Now, let's say he does end up playing. You have a pretty good quarterback room if you're Tennessee, right? You have obviously Joey Aguilar. You got George McIntyre, who was down in Miami. He was down there throwing with Travis Smith Jr. He was out there throwing with Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, all the receivers and everything good like that, right? Building that chemistry, right? Then you have Ryan Staub, who's coming over from Colorado. Experienced, not saying he's the best quarterback, but an experienced guy. You can bring it up into your room, right? Then after him, you have the 5-star Faison Brandon, who was a top quarterback in the 2026 class. So you have a pretty good room, what I'm saying, Joey Aguilar plays. Obviously, he would be the starter. 3,565 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions. Okay? Now, you don't have him. You still have a lot of experience with Ryan Staub there. You got George McIntyre, and obviously you got the 5-star Faison Brandon. So worst comes to worst, if you Tennessee, you're going to be good regardless, right? You've put in the plan, you executed it, you brought in some good quarterbacks. Worst case scenario, you might have a quarterback competition for the second year in a row, but you feel pretty good about what you got in that room. You know what I'm saying? If you're Tennessee. So I think regardless, obviously you want Joey Aguilar to come back and play another year if you're Tennessee. But I feel like regardless, you're going to be put in a good situation. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be put in a good predicament if you're Tennessee, because you got good quarterbacks, you got some experience. George McIntyre looking for a shot. Staub is looking to kind of find that silver lining, that foot in that ground, and a hungry young guy at Faison Brandon. So you got a pretty good quarterback room nonetheless if you're Tennessee. So it's interesting. I'm just updating the scenario and the situation. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I think that is also very intriguing to see, obviously, what came out of this. Okay? All right, y'all. So that's my thoughts on that. We will leave that there. Appreciate everybody tuning in on Twitch. Y'all running it up. Also on X, man. 11 viewers so far. And obviously on, YouTube. Appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube, man. But all right, let's bring up the next point. And obviously, y'all know I have a recruiting show. I'm going to do that tomorrow. 3 good guests coming on tomorrow. But I want to talk a little bit about this, or what Rivals put out today. They said anonymous college football general managers say Georgia, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Alabama, and Washington got the biggest bang for their buck on the 2026 recruiting classes. This is via Pete Nakos. He reported this. Georgia was frequently mentioned as a school that spent their money the smartest, right? Now, when you break down Georgia and what they have, right? Georgia has that moxie about them, right? Georgia has that flair, right? Not saying they're overly flashy, but you know what you're getting in the Georgia Bulldogs program. I think I seen a quote earlier where it says, like, Kirby's not necessarily have to spend as much. I think, like, ACC general manager said, they have to probably spend 10 times as much to land somebody over Kirby Smart because of what he's built at Georgia. It just goes to show you the culture is everything, right? Because he has examples of his kids going off to the league and balling in the league, right? He has numerous examples. Hey, this guy was just in my meeting room. He's now an NFL star, right? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Roquan Smith, RBU basically right now, currently in college football. It used to be Alabama. Obviously we've seen the change there when Nick Saban retired, but there's a lot there. So for Kirby, you ain't got to really do all that, right? We're winning the SEC consistently. We're getting to a college football playoff. My young freshman is playing early. Look at this year's past team, right? You had Elijah Griffin getting some minutes. You obviously had Zayden Walker getting some minutes from Schley County, right? Rashawn Dinkins coming in, getting some playing time down to the stretch of the season. KJ Bolden coming in as a true freshman against Oregon and getting some playing time. So Kirby got an example, and they had a top recruiting class again, right? They brought in several good elite players, right? They brought in the Caden Prothro. They brought in the Craig Dandridge. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, about this team. The secondary is going to be good once again, bringing in. So for Kirby, it makes sense. You're not having to do all that money. And then you look at what they just got in the 2027 class with Keemon Spell. It's like, yo, and they already got the number 2 class in 2027. It's still very early, but you look at what they're building and what they're getting. That is how you get it done if you Kirby Smart. So no surprise there. I think he sells a lot of these kids on, hey, look, here's the proven example. You can't get paid. You know what I'm saying? But as he said, he's been having to tussle a little bit with okay, are you going to make more than my upperclassmen who have been riding with me for a while as a true freshman? Or is it going to be kind of a little bit of a decrease? And we seeing guys like a Jackson Cantwell, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, making roughly $2 million. It's crazy. It's wild how much money these kids is making. And when you're making that kind of money, we know obviously amateurism is gone. You have to perform, right? There's levels to this. You have to perform at a high level. And if you don't, you're going to get put in that portal or you're going to be sent off, period. You know what I'm saying? So Kirby has a lot. I'm not surprised to see that. You know what I'm saying? With Kirby being smart. He seems like a very smart, frugal guy, but knows what he's doing and puts the right people in place and has that system in place to show athletes and kids, okay, this is what you're going to get when you come to Georgia. This is what you can expect, period. And I'm not surprised by it, right? Now, the one that's a big shocker on here is Brent Key, right? We got to clap it up for Brent Key. Hold on, let me get my applause from my audience out there watching, man. We got to clap it up for Brent Key. Y'all bear with me 1 second. I'm still working on getting that. Hold on 1 second, y'all. What is the here we go. Sound effect. What he's doing at Georgia Tech is phenomenal, man. They went 7-6, 7-6, 9-4, taking steps forward, right? Is it quite where he wants it? Not yet. But look at what he's doing with these classes and how he's stacking, right? Go to 2025, you bring in a Tate Harris, you flip him from Clemson, credited to defensive backs coach formerly at Georgia Tech, Corey Peoples, for doing that, right? You bring in guys like a Phoenix Felton, who's underrated, but it's probably going to be your starter next year, right? And then you bring in Keelan Jones in this class as well, just in terms of defensive back, right? That's just safety. Cornerback, you getting guys like Travis Stevenson from Brooks County, all-around athlete, shutdown corner, and then you get Jaden Terry, who's a lockdown corner, another 4-star. And then think about this, y'all. They also flipped the Virginia Tech commit at quarterback spot. Now, it just depends if he's going to be patient enough. But then you look at Cole Bergeron, him coming in, 4-star prospect, right? And then you end up going, you didn't even have, I think it was maybe top 50. You go to a top 30, 35 class. That's not bad if you head coach Brent Key, because you're stacking, right? And I think for the money and what they got, I thought they was very smart in getting calculated players. The linebacking unit that's coming in with a Kamani Morales, with a CJ Gamble, with a Braylon Outlaw, going to be good for years to come, because this is it. These 4 linebackers you have, they're not going to be able to have no more eligibility. The EJ Lightseas, the Kyle Eifers, the Cayman Spaldings, the Melvin Jordan, that's it. So I think another one is Georgia Tech doing a really good job of bringing guys in, right? Now, Alabama's another one I want to talk about. They're doing a great job. Brandon Jet Tamala, obviously standout player. Xavier Crowell, as a couple players that are name brand coming into this class. We know about Keelan Russell of the last class. Say what you want about Kalen DeBoer and the product on the field. He do know how to recruit, though. Say what you want, but he bring in the top players. So no surprise to see them being smart on this list and bring guys in. Now, what's interesting is I want to talk about Vandy, right? So let's talk about Vanderbilt just a little bit, right? Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, Vandy definitely spent some money. Okay, Vandy spent some money in trying to bring in some of these guys, and here it is right here. I want y'all to see, and it's off the chain. It really is, right? When you look at these players, Jackson Cantwell, I told you he's making like $2 million a year. It's crazy. Jared Curtis, I seen something. He's making about roughly $2 million a year. Mark Bowman, USC, who's supposed to be the starter for them or competing to be a starting role, he's going to be making a lot of money. So it's very interesting to see Vanderbilt, who went all out. They flipped Jared Curtis, who's supposed to go to Georgia. Probably wasn't going to play this year, but like I said, throughout my shows, I felt Georgia was okay because you have Gunnar Stockton coming back for at least one more year, and you got guys under him that are hungry. The Ryan Puglisi, you notice he ain't hit the portal now, right? All those guys is coming back, but that's a lot. Well, basically what they saying is Vandy saying, we're going to give you the keys, Jared Curtis. You lead us to where we're supposed to go. All right. You're going to be the quarterback of the future, and you can come in here and get a spot. No more Diego Pavia. This team is yours. Okay. So this is a team, like I said, they spent wisely. I know they gave a pretty penny to obviously, Jared Curtis, right? Will it be worth it? We're going to have to find out. Right? We're going to have to find out and see if it's going to be worth it. But here's a quick outlook of the class. Let you guys see this, right? Jared Curtis is obviously a showstopper. Big one they got there. A lot of 3-star prospects. Tilden Riley, Evan Hampton, Brayley Brown, Bradley Brown, Jason McCollum, Owen Cable. That's a pretty good player from Nashville, Tennessee. I like him. Daryl Campbell, Micah DeBose, underrated player, man. He's going to be real good for them at the offensive line spot. Big, strong. Ja'Cory Thomas was a big one out of Louisiana. Obviously, a great pickup for them there. And let's see who else they got. Antoine Baker's another one. He's pretty good. Tyler Ebel should be able to help you in the kicking unit. And Jeremy Garner at the cornerback spot, man. So that's a little bit of an outlook of what they were able to obviously get. Okay. But nonetheless, as y'all can see, big year coming up for Vandy, right? Vandy's been, making some history. They've been able to, take the steps forward, be able to align the team in a position where they can win, and compete in the SEC, you know what I'm saying, and win a lot of games. So can they do it for another year? That's going to be the question going forward for Vandy. It's very intriguing to say the least, man. All right. So we're going to keep it rolling. Obviously, that was a few things we talked about on the show today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that caught my eye. I don't believe so. All right. So, something I want to do for y'all real quick. Let me see. All right. I want to talk ACC football. All right. And I want to give y'all 3 players to watch in this conference. Okay. All right. Let me share the screen real quick so y'all can see. Forget my connection. Okay. Let's see. Can y'all see that? All right. Everybody good? Cool. All right. So there's 3 players I want to put on y'all radar. All right. Number 1, Justice Haynes. He's going to be the guy to watch for Georgia Tech. I know it's been a beaten drum a little bit, but how dynamic he is, how special he is with the ball in his hands, he's going to be a dynamic playmaker for the Yellow Jackets, okay? So he's going to be a player, with his home run ability, 857 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. Now, they've had Malachi Halsey already, right? He's averaging 7.1 yards a carry this past year. But then you bring in another guy, right? So what I'm thinking of already is you're going to have stacked boxes, right? You're going to have 8 to 9 man boxes trying to slow you down, right? Trying to not let you be able to run the football. That opens it up because a lot of people are probably going to dare for or Alberto Mendoza, or if it's Graham Knowles, whoever emerges as QB1 to throw the ball. That's where your playmakers come in. And what Georgia Tech has on the outside is speed. Jalen Mbakwe, Jordan Allen, them boys is quick. So when you have that on the outside, you feel good. So that's why Justice Haynes is going to be a very important, integral piece because he's going to open up the rest of this offense. He's going to open up the rest of this team. It ain't just him. Obviously, offensive line, receivers, tight ends, all that's going to play an integral piece to what they're doing. But Justice Haynes is the home run hitter of this portal cycle. Say what you want. That is an NFL caliber talent. And the first one at the running back that they've had really since Jahmyr Gibbs. All right. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. I can't wait to see him on the flats and see what he does, man. I think he's going to be very exciting. He's a showstopper. Legit. He's a showstopper. He is elite with the ball in his hands. So he's going to be a fun and a dandy, obviously, to watch. Okay. So that's one to watch in the ACC. Number 2, Tyler Thompson. Another player I'm very high on from Louisville, or transferred to Louisville. He recorded 7 sacks this past year. Hybrid defender. 6'4", 240, y'all. And obviously, he's coming over to a Louisville team that had a good year. They had a pretty decent year. 9-4. Jeff Brom's the coach. Can they take a step forward? They got Lincoln Keelholz out of the portal. But can they take the next step? I think defensively, you want to hang your hat on this guy right here that should be able to help them out a lot. Tyler Thompson for Louisville. I think he's going to be able to make a lot of disruptive plays, TFLs, affect the havoc rate. I think this is the guy that you got to keep your eyes on. That's going to be very good for Louisville this upcoming year, man. So I got my eyes peeled on Tyler Thompson. Next up, my Miami Hurricanes, man. I'm glad we got him. I think he's the best edge rusher. I'm saying, coming in. I know everybody's high on John Henry Daly coming over from Utah to Michigan. I'm going to say Damon Wilson. That was massive, man. Dude can ball. All right. He's one of the best edge rushers, I think. And I think that's I don't want to say a replacement because it's hard to replace Reuben Bain Jr. for what he does and how elite and how special of a talent he is. But you're pretty dang close with getting a guy like this, right? 9 sacks this past year, 12 QB hurries, disruptive. We're going to need that if we're going to repeat, right? We got Florida State on the schedule, Clemson, Notre Dame. We got some tough teams on the schedule, you know what I'm saying, this upcoming year. So to handle business, we're going to have to get out the quarterback, right? So they did a good job bringing him in. I think he's going to be very impactful in the ACC, and he's going to be a player you got to be able to block. You got to be able to stay in front of, and I'm very high on him and what he can do, moving forward. And for my Hurricanes, I think he's going to be very special, and I think he's going to be a player that helps us elevate and take that step forward, man. So I'm very high on Damon Wilson. I think he's going to be a guy that makes the difference for us and come in and obviously still allow us to have a really, really good season. All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my surprise SEC team. I've been thinking about this. It's gonna be a lot of teams that are going to be obviously involved, in this. So, I've been going through it, been thinking, what teams are going to be good next year, man, and what team is going to be my surpriser. Last year I said Florida. That kind of, faltered a little bit, to be humbly honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But a surprise team in the SEC. You know what, y'all? I'm going to go out the limb. Go out on a limb. I'm going to say Auburn. I think Auburn shocked some people this year, right? And I think the reason is what they was able to do in the portal, bringing in this new class. And I think Byron Brown's that guy. I'm not saying he's, I'm not saying he's a Cam Newton. I'm not saying he's going to completely turn the tide. But I think what they got at running back coming in, what they did obviously in the portal, what they did in bringing some pieces back. I know they lost Jalen Crawford and several other standout playmakers, Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons was at Texas Tech. I get it. But I think they got the right coach in place in Alex Golesh to help them take that step forward. So, for me, I think Auburn is going to be the team this year that surprises a lot of people. I really do. I think Auburn is the one you're going to have to keep your hat on, in terms of see what they're going to be able to do, on the stage. Now, again, tough schedule. Obviously we looked at it, but I think having that coach in, having some continuity at quarterback, one that can throw the football, one that can run it, he's a dual threat option, so it's going to make you respect him in the running game. I think Auburn is going to be the team that surprised a lot of folks. And I think they're going to have enough to make a noise. We know last year defensively, they was very good. Several games, Missouri, Oklahoma, they were in those games. But quarterback Jackson Arnold, who's no longer on the team, hit the transfer portal. Ashton Daniels hit the transfer portal with the Florida State. They have players that can step up big for the team. And I think that's massive. I really do. And I think they got the right coach in the helm. And I'm going to go Auburn. Now, I would have went Florida. I'm not going to lie to you. I would have went Florida, but I didn't want to do 42 years in a row, right? But I like what he's implementing. I like what Coach John Summerall is doing because he's already telling these guys, okay, you got to come in and earn it. You don't get to wear the Florida logo. That is earned. You got to show me why you should be wearing that Florida logo. And I love what he's already implementing first day in. Not playing around, not messing around, showing you what you need. And they brought back so many good pieces. Jaden Ball's coming back. We'll see who's going to be their starting quarterback. Is it Aaron Philo? Or they use somebody younger, right? But you got Jaden Ball coming back, right? You got Vernon Brown III. You brought back your key pieces in order to compete and contend if you're the Florida Gators. And they're going to be a team, I think, that resonates. Now, it ain't going to be an easy schedule because I think 2 years in a row, Florida has one of the tougher schedules in college football. But I think they got the right coach on the helm. And some of them games you got to win, right? You can't be losing, games to teams you're supposed to beat, right? Just can't happen. They beat Texas last year. I get it. Tennessee, you're supposed to beat these kind of teams. So we're going to see. But those are my two. Really, Auburn, 1A, Florida, 1B. But I just didn't want to go 2 years in a row with obviously Florida. But those are my two teams. If you're watching, you got to keep an eye on. I think those teams are going to make a difference, and they're going to be ones to watch coming into, obviously, next season. All right, y'all. So before we wrap it up, let's see if I had any other big topics I've seen from anybody. Let's see. We talked about, obviously, spending money. All right, let me see. I don't think it was anything else that was major. I'll wrap us up. Might do a little hot take. No, they haven't posted since February. Let's see. Oh, yes, I wanted to talk about this. All right. Last topic of today. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Much love to y'all. All right. So we know a lot of people did not like this. I'll go and put that out there. But college football playoff is moving on. They're moving off New Year's Eve in 2026 to avoid the NFL conflict. Obviously, it's Heather Dennis, their college football reporter. She's obviously a very big insider. But the key difference, as she aligns in this article, college football quarterfinals will be held Wednesday, December 30th at the Verbal Fiesta Bowl, in a triple header on Friday, January 1st, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. The CFP semifinals will be held January 14th, 2027 at the Capital One Orange Bowl and January 15th, at the All-State Sugar Bowl. CFP playoff game has been played on New Year's Eve in each of the two seasons under the 12-team format and half of the time over the past 12 years in the CFP era. For 2027, the CFP quarterfinals will return to New Year's Eve with a December 31st game at the All-State Sugar Bowl. On New Year's Day, there will be another triple header with the Verbal Fiesta Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. CFP semifinals will be on January 13th, 2028, and the Capital One Orange Bowl on January 14th, 2028. All right. So the big thing here is obviously they're moving off that. They're trying not to, restrict or, be in the way of the NFL. I think in this Thursday night game in there, Roger Goodell has come out and said, hey, look, we're willing to work with them. We're not trying to, make anything impossible. We're willing to work with their leadership in order to kind of find the best model or find the best way that makes this work for both of us, basically. Let's keep our money coming in, right? So I think that's a good thing. The worst thing about this is the schedule. The schedule is trash, y'all. Like, on one hand, playing devil's advocate, y'all, I like it because it gives the players at least a couple of weeks to rest up for the games. On the other end, it's just like, where's schedule, right? So, like next year, for example, right? You're not going to have the games on New Year's Eve, right? It's going to be 2 weeks, from the quarterfinals to the semis, and then 2 more weeks from the semis to the championship game. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of crazy, right? And, obviously, Lane Kiffin's come out and he said, he doesn't like it. I'm not the biggest fan. I do like the rest component for the players, but at the same time, you're giving us 2 weeks in between of all those great games to have to wait as fans. What are we doing? What are we doing? So like that part, I don't like. I think it's a little blasphemous to me. I think you shouldn't do that. I like how they had it kind of set up with, next week you play. If you win, get that week of rest. Kind of like NFL bracket almost to agree in the playoffs, right? So I don't get the 2 week kind of window. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And I'm with a lot of the fans. I'm not a big proponent and fan of it. So that part I think is going to suck for fans because, like, yo, I got to wait 2 weeks. What if you get really exciting quarterfinal games? Oh, I got to wait 2 more weeks to the semis, 2 more weeks into the national championship. So that part they're going to have to figure out for sure. But I think overall, I think their goal was to not conflict with the NFL. Obviously, having respect for them and not want to interfere with their product. But we know, obviously, NFL is supreme and is king. But a lot of fans love college football. That's why I cover it. College football is off the chain. The fandom is next level. The fans that are in it's top tier. It's one of the best sports to really cover. I know the product is a little bit different than years past. Traditions are a little bit different with the portal, and NIL, and revenue share. I get it. But it's nothing like seeing those kids play at a high level, trying to win their team a championship, the fandom that's still there. All that stuff is what makes the sport great. But that part they're going to have to figure out, man, for sure. But all right, y'all, we're going to leave that there, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I know I had some lag and difficulties, man, but y'all ran it up on X, man. Y'all ran it up on, obviously, YouTube. I seen, I think, up to 7 people had tuned in at one time. So I want to give y'all a shout out, man. Appreciate y'all. Like I said, try to be live every single Wednesday at like about 6:30, 6:45. But yeah, I definitely appreciate all the love and support. But I just want to shout out the numbers real quick before I get off of here. Let me see, because y'all was going pretty crazy on the tube. Yeah, man, up to 20 views, man. Shout out to y'all. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, man, but I'm very appreciative, man, just taking y'all time and spend with me. And obviously watching my college football show. Like I said, for the meantime, until we get more fans, it'll probably be like 30 minutes. But as we get more engagement, more people tapped in, man, we'll go further and further, man. But I appreciate everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, man. I will catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned tomorrow, man. We got a great show for Recruiting Unfiltered with Najeh Wilkins. Y'all will love it. A lot of great guests on. Cruz Marion. We'll talk about his decision to transfer from Stockbridge, obviously, to Stevenson. So we will bring him on the show. Javier is going to come on the show. transferring from Duluth to Gainesville. So we'll get an inside perspective from him. And Kevin Rambo Hughes. So about all his latest offers, latest that's going on with him, his development, and what's next coming up for him. But there you guys have it. This is the truth with Najeh Wilkins. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. Catch you soon. Peace.